What's up everyone, my name is Bob from shutthemusic.com, and today I'm going to show you 3 different levels of trap hats using Soundtrap. So level 1, we have a roll. Level 2 is a shift, and level 3 is a filter. So let's get into Soundtrap. I want to show you a couple things about trap beats. First things first is our tempo. I like to write grooves in half time when I'm doing trap music because I like this feeling when I'm hearing that trap beat. What is half time? Normally the snare, when we're playing drum groove, normally the snare plays on beats 2 and 4. So we have like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's cool. But in halftime, we take beats 2 and 4 and we move it to just beat 3, and we do that over 2 measures. So we feel beats 2 and 4, but it's over this bigger structure, and we bob our heads like this. So this is what it sounds like. We have, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and it's totally different feel, and that's how I want my trap music to go. So here is my little groove. I like there to be some sort of ostinato, maybe a pad, but keep the texture really sparse. Keep it really simple. This is what we're gonna use. I just have this like lo-fi piano thing, and then I duplicated it with like a little bell thing. All right, so now let's talk about our 3 different levels. Our first level is a roll. So what is a roll? You're gonna take your bass subdivision and then you are going to multiply it. Multiply it by 2 or multiply it by 4. So here is the 8th note. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now we can double that up to get to the 16th. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and a... We can double that up again to get to the 32nd note. Now I can't do it like a long time because I just can't, but I can sprinkle it in there. And you've heard that before. You've heard that type of sound before. You've heard that subdivision being multiplied or that roll. Now, what I recommend doing is watching my video on how to play these, because I do think it's important to be able to play them. When I record, I'm not going to play them in, but when I'm brainstorming an idea, I want to be able to hear it first, and that's going to help by being able to play it in. So like... But if I am playing 30-second notes at that tempo, and I quantize to the 32nd note, unless I have immaculate, perfect timing, things are going to get scattered about. So what helps me is to actually organize my thoughts using a graphic organizer. So here is a graphic organizer. So the snare is going to play on beat 3 of every other measure, like I said before, to create that halftime groove. And the kick is going to play on beat 1. I'm going to have it play on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Okay, so I'm going to put on 1, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. Ooh, I'm going to let's double it up. And a 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and... Okay. Perfect. All right, so there is my kick rhythm. It's always good to give it a little try, see if you can play it, listen to it, record it, play it back, do some tweaks. But I kind of like this basic thing. Now I need to figure out where I want my rolls to be. And the rolls are like little special spices that you're putting in your food. You don't want to layer your food with just like a whole cup of ghost pepper hot sauce. That would be insane. But you can do a little dab of it here, a little dab of it there, and it's going to really elevate your taste. So that's how I'm going to approach this. You don't want to put rolls all over the place. You kind of want them to be balanced in different parts of the phrase. Sometimes, I mean, I'm only using 2 measures here, but sometimes you want your rolls to be repeated over 4 measures, maybe 8 measures. Sometimes you only have your roll once in one section of an entire song. But I'm going to do it over 2 measures here because that's what I have here in my organizer. But I'm only going to do rolls in 2 spots. I'm going to just give myself those parameters. I'm going to put a roll in the first measure, and I'm going to put a roll in the second measure. But to be able to figure out where I want that, I'm going to do a little improv. I'm going to play the song first. So here's my groove. And I'm just going to play the kick and snare. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, I'm going to add in just 8 notes. Okay, so I think I figured it out really quickly there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 30-second notes in the first measure, and I'm going to do 16th notes in the second measure. So they're coming right before the backbeat here. So I have these 4 beats here, these 30-second notes. So I have 1 and 2, and on and of 2, I'm going to play all of these things. And then on beat 4 of the second measure, I'm going to play all of these 16th notes. So we have that. Let me fill in the rest of the groove with my 8th notes. 8th note is going to be my bass subdivision for this. And then I'm going to use 16ths and those 30-second note sprinkles in there. And those are my rolls. Let's go to play in this groove. Okay, and now let's check and see how we did. So there was playing those 16th notes at that speed with one finger with the kick is a little difficult, but let's figure out where we're at. I only need actually 1 repetition of this, so I'm gonna quantize it to the 16th first, and then I am going to make my region shorter, and let's see what we got. Give it a playthrough. Perfect. Now we're going to enter in those 16th note and 30-second note hi-hat rolls. So in order to do that, we first have to change our grid size. So to change the grid size, you can click up here in the cog. I have it set to 16th, but we are going to go in between 16th and 32nd. Let's start with our 16th ones. So our 16th ones are in the second measure. And it's 4E and so it's the last 4 subdivisions of the second measure. So let's look at the second measure, and you can click on the pencil tool up here, or you can just double click in the piano roll, and it is going to allow you to, type those things in so I can listen to that. Now I have my 16th notes there. But the tricky bit is putting in your 30-second notes. So let's figure out where it's gonna be. It's gonna be on the and of 2. So let's find where the and of 2 is. Here, 1 and 2 and. Now I'm going to change my grid size to 30-second notes. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So it's these 4 attacks right here, just double clicking. And let's hear what it sounds like. All right, and it's just once, so I gotta, make it go more than once. So let's drag that over. Now we can give it a listen. All right, now let's talk the second level of trap hats, and that has to do with a shift. A shift in what? A shift in subdivision. So we've been dealing with duple subdivision. That is where the beat is being divided evenly. So we have 8th note, the beat's being divided twice, 16th note 4 times, 30-second note 8 times. But when you shift subdivisions, you're going to shift into either a subdivision of 8th note triplet or 16th note triplet. So that would be a subdivision of 3 or 6. So this is what it sounds like. I'm going to move my drum track away from the rest of it, and I'm just going to play our groove again. I'm going to get rid of that metronome. Who wants to listen to that metronome? I don't. And now I have, my 8th notes. You hear that? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 pull-it, 2 pull-it, 3 pull-it, 4 pull-it, 1. So that is an 8th note triplet. I'm taking that beat and I'm dividing it into 3 equal parts. All right, so let's look at the bottom half of this organizer where we have the 16th note triplet subdivision in here. Now, I'm just going to use 8th note triplet subdivision, but the cool thing about 16th note triplet, if you look at the 4th subdivision, so one, pull, and the 4th part of the beat, it's actually right smack dab in the middle of the beat, and that's where the and is, and it's the same syllable. I just like seeing that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that, visual way to see where the middle of the beat is. So I'm going to use just the number, the pull, and the that is the, the 8th note triplet. If you are using a slower tempo, you might use 16th note triplet. Like if it was here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Like that is the 16th note triplet, so that could work out for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually keep the first roll in the exact same spot. And it's going to be on my duple line. But I am going to add in some sort of triplet line. I'm going to do it right on beat 3 here. And then I'm going to get rid of this. Well, I'm not going to get rid of the beat 4, but I'm going to get rid of my second roll. So on beat 3 of the second measure, I am going to shift to 8th note triplet subdivision. And here's what it sounds like. You could play this in, or you can pencil it in. I'm going to pencil it in because it would be really difficult to play this. I'm actually just going to pencil it in the exact same region that I had before. So let me show you how to do that. If you remember from before, our grid was set to 32nd note. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these 16th notes. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to get rid of the 16th notes in beat 4 of the second measure. I'm actually going to get rid of the and of beat 3 because I am going to turn it into an 8th note triplet thing. So now let's change our grid size to 8th note triplet. I'm going to zoom in and we see our 8th note triplets there. And I'm going to just pencil in some 8th note triplets. Let's listen to what it sounds like. And now we're ready to talk about the filter. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate my track twice. Now I have 3 totally identical tracks, and we are going to split those tracks up. We're going to make one track the hi-hat track, we're going to make one track the snare track, and we're going to make one track the kick track, but we're going to change that to actually being our bass track. So, go into the first one. Let's make this our hi-hat. I'm going into the piano roll. I'm going to highlight everything that isn't hi-hat, and I'm going to get rid of it. Now it is just hi-hat. I'm going to go into the second one, and I'm going to get rid of everything that isn't snare, and I'm going to get rid of that. So this is just snare. And then I'm going to go into the third one, and I'm going to get rid of everything that isn't the kick, and I'm going to get rid of that. So now we have 3 totally separate tracks. If you want to, you can label those tracks. Like this could be hi-hat, this could be snare, and this could be kick. All right, so I have my 3 instruments here. I'm going to add another track. I'm going to add a bass track, actually. I'm going to add a kick bass track. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it right underneath my kick track here. And I am going to just drag the information from my kick track, and I'm going to delete my old kick track. I can change this to any sound that I want. I'm going to change it to one of these basses, 808 kick things. Which one? Not that one. I like that one, 808 big mono. Now what we have to do is we have to actually change some of the pitches. So I am going to take all of the notes starting on beat 4 of the first measure into the second measure. I'm going to make it B flats because that's what the harmonies of this is. And then I have to change some of the durations. So this first note I made longer. Boom, boom, boom. This one's going to be a little longer. Boom. Let's listen to what that sounds like. This needs to be longer for sure. This should be a little longer. There we go. Okay. And now I have the snare on its own track, and I have the hi-hat on its own track, and now I can add in the filter. You might have noticed that there is a button here, this little weird guy with the lines. If you click on that, it opens up automations. And the automation pane thing allows you to automate certain parameters. So we can automate the pan, which is left and right, sweep, and volume. We're going to do sweep. So what we're going to do is actually activate a low-pass filter. Low-pass filter allows low frequencies to go through. So it's going to cut some of the highs. So I activated that, and what it did is it made this line. So let's just listen to the hi-hat, and I'm going to move this line down. Do you hear how it got rid of the high frequencies? So in the organizer, I have a space here for the low-pass filter. And when that line is all the way at the top, that means the filter is open. It's going to allow all those frequencies to come through. When it's down, it's only going to allow low frequencies to come through, so it's going to cut those high frequencies. Normally, the filter is engaged during those rolls or the subdivision shifts. So I'm going to do the low pass filter for this one that has the subdivision shift. So I'm just going to create a line here, and I'm using my Mac. So I'm just going to go into, I'm in preview, and I'm going to add in a line. So now I have a line here. Depending on your device, you might need to change it. So I'm going to just put the line here for open. That means all the frequencies are going to go through. Now, when I get to here, I want it to dip a little bit. I don't want it to dip a lot because, as we saw before, if you move that bar down, it just cuts everything. So I'm going to copy and paste this line, put this right here, and I'm going to just make this come down a little bit. And what you like to hear is you like to hear the sound of the filter like, oh, that was weird, the filter like going on and off. So now we have that, and I'm going to copy this one over, and what we're going to end up with is something that looks really similar to what your automation curve is going to be like. And now on beat 3, maybe we'll start here. Maybe we'll start a little earlier on the end of beat 2. We're going to do some more of this stuff. And now I'm going to just bend this down. It's going to go down all the way here, and then we'll bring it back up. And beat 4 will be more of a straight line. Go back to center. Make this one a little shorter. Short. Okay. So this is what I want my filter to look like, and it's only going to be for the hi-hat part. That's why we had to break the groove down. So here is that first one. So I'm going to create a new point by clicking it, and then I want it to dip down and then come back up. So I'm going to do this. Well, I'll create a new point here. So I'm going to have it dip down, and then it's going to come back up. Don't dip down a lot. Let's listen to what that sounds like. Too much. And maybe I want it to happen a little before. Okay. And I had my other one start kind of here, dip down. Gotta remember to make my point first. All right, now let's listen to that. All right, so one thing that's important, like a little hack whenever you are doing some automation lines, is this key right here, the command key. That allows you to move things without having it snap to a grid. So if you hold down command key, or I think it might be, I don't know what it is on Windows. If you hold that down and you go to drag a point, so I'm going to take this point, and I'm going to hold down command. It's going to allow me to move this wherever the heck I want without it snapping. If I didn't hold, if I didn't hold command, it's going to snap it to certain spots, and I don't want that. I want freedom. And that's also true if you're, moving the end of a clip. So let's give it a listen. What I did was I just took the rest of the automation and I kind of applied it to the rest of the 4 measures. So let's give it a listen. And those are 3 different levels to create trap hats in Soundtrap. See you in the shed.